Mars. Seen from Earth, Mars is only a small red point in the night sky. It is not as bright as Venus. It is not as massive as Jupiter, and it does not have the beautiful rings of Saturn. But for thousands of years, this red planet has made human beings look up and wonder. Because among all the worlds that orbit the Sun, Mars feels the closest to humanity's dream of leaving Earth. It has day and night. It has seasons, it has volcanoes, it has valleys, and it has dry riverbeds, like scars left behind from a much wetter past. Today, Mars is a cold desert, a world covered in red dust, a planet almost completely silent. There are no blue oceans, no forests, no birdsong, and no thick atmosphere, like the one we have on Earth. But the marks on its surface tell us something important. Mars may have been very different long ago. Maybe water once flowed there. Maybe ancient lakes once existed. Maybe rivers once crossed its surface. Maybe its atmosphere was once much thicker. And maybe, at some distant time in the past, Mars once had a real chance to become a world more suitable for life. So what happened to the red planet? Why did a world that once showed signs of water become the dry, barren place we see today? And if humans one day set foot on Mars, what will we find beneath that red dust? This is not just a story about a distant planet. It is the story of a lost world, and maybe the first chapter in humanity's journey beyond the cradle of Earth. Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun. It orbits just beyond Earth, compared with the giant gas planets farther out, like Jupiter, Saturn, or Neptune. Mars is much smaller. Its diameter is only about half the diameter of Earth, but that small size is part of what makes Mars special. It is a rocky planet. It has a solid surface. It has mountains, canyons, impact craters, and wide open plains covered in red dust. From far away, Mars looks like a quiet reddish-orange sphere drifting through space. But that red color does not come from fire, and it does not mean the planet is burning. It comes from iron oxide in the rocks and soil on its surface. In simple words, Mars is red because its surface is almost like a giant world covered in rust, and that color made ancient people connect Mars with blood, war, and strange omens in the night sky. But through the eyes of modern science, that red color tells us a different story. A story of rock, dust, a thin atmosphere, and a planet that went through violent changes in its distant past. But what makes Mars so fascinating to us is not only its red color, it is what the planet left behind on its surface. When spacecraft and orbiters began studying Mars from above, we found shapes that looked strangely familiar. Long valleys, like ancient riverbeds, low basins, like the floors of old lakes, wide plains that seemed to have been shaped by flowing water, and minerals that may have formed in wet environments. All of these features are like ancient writing carved into the surface of the red planet. They do not speak with sound, but they tell us that Mars may not always have been the dry world we see today. Now imagine Mars, far back in the past. The sky may have been thicker, the air pressure may have been higher, the temperature may have been warmer, And on the surface, water may have once flowed through red valleys. There may have been lakes inside giant craters. There may have been rivers cutting through the rocky land before running down into lower regions. And if that is true, then Mars was not just a dead desert. It was the remains of a world that once had a chance to become something more alive. And that is what makes the question of life on Mars so interesting. Not because we see trees there today, not because we see animals, not because we see anything moving across its red surface, but because long ago, Mars may have had conditions that were closer to life. And wherever there is water, human beings begin to wonder, could life have appeared there? Could tiny forms of life have once lived? In ancient lakes, underground, or inside protected cracks within the rocks? So far, we do not have a clear answer, but that possibility alone is enough to make Mars one of the most important targets in space science. But if Mars once had water, and if it once had a thicker atmosphere, then what happened? Why did this planet become so cold, so dry, and so empty? The answer may lie in something invisible, but extremely important: a magnetic field. Earth has a magnetic field surrounding it. You can think of it like an invisible shield, protecting our planet from the solar wind. The solar wind is a stream of charged particles constantly blowing out from the sun. Without that protection, a planet's atmosphere can slowly be stripped away over time. Mars may once have had a stronger global magnetic field in the distant past, but then, as the planet's core cooled down, that magnetic shield began to weaken, and eventually, it faded away. When that invisible shield disappeared, Mars was left exposed. The solar wind began hitting the planet directly. Little by little, its atmosphere was carried away into space. The air became thinner, the pressure dropped, and liquid water could no longer remain stable on the surface the way it may have before. Some of the water evaporated, some froze, and some may still be trapped beneath the ground. And slowly, the red planet changed. From a world that may once have been wetter, Mars became a frozen desert. Not in a single night, not because of one sudden disaster, but over millions and billions of years. A slow fading of an entire planet. Today, Mars is a harsh place. The temperature is extremely low, the atmosphere is very thin, and the air is made mostly of carbon dioxide. The pressure is so low that liquid water can hardly survive for long on the surface. If a human stepped inside without a protective suit, they would not survive. There is no breathable air. The low pressure would put the body in danger, and radiation from space is far more dangerous there than it is on Earth, because Mars does not have a strong global magnetic field like Earth, and it does not have a thick atmosphere to protect its surface. Even the red dust is a serious problem. It is extremely fine. It can stick to equipment, cover solar panels, reduce visibility, and when large dust storms appear, they can spread across enormous regions. Sometimes, almost the entire planet can be wrapped in dust. Mars is not just the red planet in the sky. It is the remains of a world that changed, a planet that may once have been wetter before slowly losing its atmosphere, losing the water on its surface, and becoming the cold desert we see today. It is a world of dry riverbeds, ancient lakes that have disappeared, Giant volcanoes, deep canyons, like scars left behind by time itself, and maybe, inside its rocks and soil, there is still a story we have not fully heard. If humans one day set foot on Mars, we are not only traveling to another planet, we are stepping into the past of a lost world. And maybe we are also opening the future of our own species. Because the journey to Mars is not only a journey across the distance between two planets, it is a journey beyond fear, beyond technology, beyond loneliness, and beyond the limits of human imagination. From a tiny red point in the night sky, Mars has become one of humanity's greatest dreams, a dream of life, a dream of discovery, a dream built around one question: can we leave the cradle of Earth and step into the vast universe beyond? And maybe one day, when the first human stands on the red dust of Mars and looks back toward the distant sky, where Earth has become only a small blue point of light, we will finally understand. We are not just conquering another planet, we are beginning a new chapter in the long story of humanity among the stars.